It is time for Saturday morning closing line college football edition. First one for 2019. We got two new members. Really excited about it. To my right, Mr. Big Ragoo. We got Ian Cameron and DJ Big Boss. I am Drew Martin. We will be here every Saturday throughout college football season, 11 a.m. Eastern time. We're going a half hour early just for today. But guys, happy Saturday morning to you. College football is here. Mr. Big Ragoo, how you feeling this morning?
Real excited about the day and real excited about the upcoming season. It's been a long time waiting, and we got the official kicking off at 7 o'clock tonight. Going to get on this Miami game and see what the boys think about it.
Absolutely. Miami versus Florida on ESPN, kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. Mr. Ian Cameron from Hamilton, Canada. Great breakdown college football. I know he knows it as good as anybody. Follow him on Twitter, @Babano. How you feeling this morning, buddy?
Oh, great. I mean, it's a great football day. I mean, college football is back. We got two excellent games. Let's not sleep on Arizona, Hawaii either. We'll get to that later on in the show. And my Ticats are playing tonight, so you better believe I'll be keeping an eye on that as well. But it's a great day, Drew. College football is back. I've been able to basically poke fun at people in the U.S. that, hey, I've had football in Canada with CFL the last 2 months. You guys are still waiting. Well, the wait is over. College football is here, and we're excited to break it down.
Yeah, and we'll have a little bit of CFL as well. And it's funny you bring up football north of the border. Was with Jimmy the Bag last night, and he kept bringing up the small field, kind of poking a little fun at it, but all in good fun, man. And CFL is a beatable sport, so interested to get your opinions on those as well. And last, certainly not least, from the West Coast, Notre Dame Pac-12 insider DJ Big Boss. Happy Saturday morning to you, buddy.
What up? Oh, Drew, I'm wide awake today. I'm totally excited on this college football. It's kicking in. It's here. It's here right now. So, I'm totally excited. I'm pleasure to be right here with you guys doing this right now, and we got a lot of great content coming. The mixture in this drink that we putting together right here on these Saturday mornings, it's a really good one, and y'all stay tuned, and we're gonna knock y'all down with some of this potent content we got coming on college football every Saturday morning. I'm loving it, Drew.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite shows, man, and we got a lot of games to break down. Of course, every Saturday, kicking off today, Week 0. We got Miami versus Florida. We got Arizona versus Hawaii in the nightcap. And guys, we're gonna be breaking down the games every Saturday. We'll have best bets at the end, and we got a bunch of people here in the chat box. Eric Jones, Neo Money, Leonard Welch, all welcome in. Nut Flush Allen in-house and in the chat box. Nasty Nate, Bookie Lover Q from South Florida, Barry Block, Jimmy the Bag in-house and in the chat box. Guys, let us know what you're betting and why. Feel free to market it however you would like in the chat box. But heck, why keep the people waiting? Two big games tonight. We got to break them down. Let's start off with the 7 p.m. Eastern tilt here on ESPN. The number 8 ranked Florida Gators versus the Miami Hurricanes in Orlando. Not at UCF Stadium. It is at the Citrus Bowl. 7.5 now or 7. This is an important game right now to be shopping around for the best number. We got the Florida Gators laying -7 with a little juice at Bookmaker. We also got them 7.5 at Pinnacle, 7.5 at Bovada, 7.5 at Heritage. So it always helps to have more than one sports book. Get the best of this number, especially on a key number. Use SBR Sports. SBR odds page for to be able to shop around and really find which book is best for you. We got 46 now, seeing as the total down as low as 45. This is a huge move off the opener, guys, on this total. But Ian, we can start off with you, man. Florida versus Miami. A lot of interesting parts to this handicap, man. And of course, when we're talking week 0 or week 1 college football, 18-year-olds to 23-year-olds, a lot can happen. You can read it one way and it can go the total opposite way. We see it like that pretty much every year. A game or two goes like that. Heck, a lot of times more than a game or two. But overall, what are you thinking for the Gators and Canes tonight? How are you looking to bet it?
Yeah, with no disrespect to last year's first Saturday where there was those couple of games, but I think we've got something a little more tantalizing on the marquee tonight with Florida and Miami. It's going to be a very interesting game, Drew, and it's interesting because you got two good programs that are trying to make that next step, think that they might, if things break their way, be top 5 team, outside shot maybe at the playoffs potentially for these two squads. And of course, you're in a big time hole already if you lose this game. So it is a big pressure situation for both of these teams. Obviously, with Miami, when we talk about them, we got to start with the coaching change, and obviously Manny Diaz comes on board now as the head coach, Mark Richt gone. And what is it going to do to this team on the offensive side of the football? The new coach being there is the biggest question, because the one thing Miami was very good in terms of under Mark Richt's tutelage is the defense was there. They forced turnovers. They blew up the line of scrimmage repeatedly. The front seven was good. They took the ball away. I think a lot of those elements of this Canes defense are going to be there again this year. They should have a very good front seven. The linebacking core is solid. Secondary can cover down the field. The question is going to be, can the quarterback position finally have an uptick for Miami, because they've gotten terrible quarterback play. I saw way too many times last year. Malik Rozier and N'Kosi Perry both just inaccurate, wayward with their throws, underthrowing, overthrowing receivers, not on the same page with them. And now it's going to be up to the young redshirt freshman here, Jaron Williams. They're high on him. He's a guy that earned the job in fall camp. He's not a guy that was given the job. He earned it by merit, and we're going to see if he's ready to take on this Florida defense. When I look at it coming into this game from a betting standpoint, I think there's a very good chance the defenses are going to be ahead of the offenses in this particular game. You look at the Gators having replaced 4 or 5 starters on the offensive line. That could come into a little bit of concern for them tonight in this first matchup. And then you look at the Miami side of the football on their own offensive line. You're going to be starting 2 freshman tackles on the left tackle and the right tackle going into this season, and in this game in particular against a very good Florida front seven with their own defensive front. So it's going to be one of those games where I think the D-lines on both of these teams have the chance maybe to impact their will. A lot of turnover, a lot of change in personnel with these two O-lines. Now, who's going to be able to handle it better? Felipe Franks, who cut down his interceptions last year down to 6, which was very impressive, or Jaron Williams? You'd have to think Franks can handle it more. Guy's had a lot of more starts under his belt. But to me, I think both defenses are going to be ahead of the offenses. My bet was the under. The problem was I bet the under at 50.5, and we're seeing the number just get crushed. It's down to 46, 45.5 even in some spots. It's hard to recommend it now after such a huge move. And you're always worried now betting under at 45.5. What about a pick six? What about a fumble that gets forced and it changes the field and gives the offense a short field? It could put your under in peril in a hurry. So I don't love the under at the current number, but I like it in theory, and I have a better number on it now. It's unfortunate because I would have wanted to recommend that. From a side perspective, I lean Gators. I don't know if Miami's ready for this first game just yet. I think Florida's in a better position to handle it better. So I'd lean Florida. I don't love the number. I think the number's in a good spot, but if I had to bet the side, lean Florida and lean under, although I hate to say it, the value's pretty much been sucked out of that number.
Yeah, almost a full touchdown move towards the under here, Ian. And when you start talking mid-40s, betting unders in today's college football, there's just not a lot of room for error. So I see your hesitation on still recommending the under. And DJ Big Boss, we heard a great breakdown there with Ian Cameron. What are your overall thoughts for Florida-Miami tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN?
Hey, first I'd like to say, pass me the hot wings and, get my mood right, because it's really going down. It's preparation. There's a lot of things you got to do with this college football thing right here. But one thing you definitely must do is study these games right here. And these two teams right here, I'm kind of off the game a little bit. The line kind of scares me with the 7. Not so much that the number itself is that where the line is set right here. It's anybody's game right here. We can have a blowout and we can have a tough game. It's kind of eerie right there. So I'm definitely off a side in this game right here, but I really like Miami's defense opposed to Florida's defense, because Miami defense had 3 linebackers ready for the NFL last year, chose to hang around.
Yeah.
And, that means a lot, especially on the defensive quiet. You got to think defense works like a chain, and, everybody got to be linked together on the defense. Here you are, linebackers are always the core of the defense, as far as leadership and making plays. So here you go. You got 3 linebackers coming back, gelled up. They're probably roommates, best friends, more than that, you know. So I plan them to have some exciting play. And then on the flip side of that, you got the quarterback situation on the offense. And when you're looking at something like that from a coaching perspective, when you come out, you got to prepare well. You got to take your time. You got to. It's things you can do, things you can't do with this guy. So your offense is probably dumbed down. Quite a few plays for this game. So expect a lot of running. Expect 3 and outs here and there when it comes down to it on the Miami offensive side. But this Florida offense could be explosive right here. That's where the problem is for me. I want to take I want to take Florida, but the high rate offense that they're running over there could be very explosive and lead them to a blowout victory. Easy. But as we seen last year, that offense has its flaws in it. So, I kind of worry some on that side. So I'm looking at the total. I missed the line move, but I still like the total. The total's still live going. This could be like a 19-7 type game or something like that. Even only thing that scares me now, I would have went first half total if I would have got the line early because you would have got a better number. Now, first half then went down to 3 touchdowns. And that's kind of eerie right there at 3 touchdowns. So you got to go ahead and take it full game. Hopefully, like you said, no interceptions, no crazy stuff going on. But hopefully, in the second half, they settle down and play defense opposed to adding in those points that they didn't score in the first half. So I'm taking the under in this one.
Like in the under as well. In the first half numbers, it's looking like 3.5 or 4. That's Florida laying in the first half with the total 22 or 21. So right there on the key number of 3 touchdowns, like DJ Big Boss said. So another important part to shop around for the best number, put all the odds in your favor. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Big Ragoo. What are your overall thoughts here on the Gators and Canes tonight, man?
Well, I'm excited. Number one, I'm basically a Florida native. I've been in Florida for over 35 years. I live close to the University of Florida, just south. I get all the beat writer information fresh. The Miami info I get because, we are in the state. Now, this is I'm glad they're playing this game because it has a lot of history between these two schools years gone by. I think they have some future games scheduled like in 2023, 2024. So I'm glad they're kicking this game off. It's a great matchup. A lot of question marks on both sides of the ball. But one thing, credit to the Florida Gators, like last year with Dan Mullen's first season, he did take Felipe Franks and get some pretty good offensive production out of him. I think they surprised a lot of people winning 10 games last year. Going forward, they had some good looks. They had over 400 yards the last 4 games of the season. Defensively speaking, like DJ said, Miami's got some solid linebackers coming back that they did keep out of the draft with Diaz staying on board. I think if he was gone, they would have went. But they have a lot of good looks on defense. Their front seven solid. Question marks on the Florida offensive line. I know Mullins, he's a quarterback guru type of coach. He's, he worked with Tebow, he worked with Prescott, so he's going to coach this kid up. I think third year for Franks, if he plays, I'm not going to say a game manager type of game, but if they eliminate the mistakes, I think that Florida could probably pull out the W. Whether they get to the number or not, that remains to be seen. The original play I made was a few weeks back. I took the game under. DJ and I did. That was one of the first conferences we previewed, and one of the first games we looked at was this game because it was a week 0 game. I think some of the value is obviously gone in the under, so I got in at 49. But I think the game is going to go one or two ways. It's going to be a game that's definitely going to be played up front in the trenches. If they keep the turnovers down, it'd probably be a low-scoring game. But if there's a couple, 2 or 3 turnovers, depending on field position and whatnot, you might see the game fly over. It might be a good middle for somebody that got in on a high number for the total, and they might catch, the lower number to try to catch the middle on this one. So, just from a gambling perspective, it might be a good middle opportunity if you played it early. But I'm just going to put a lean on the current number at under, and then I'll put a lean with the Gators also.
The Gators at -7 would be the low water mark on them right now. Great breakdowns, guys, and things I'll add to it, especially side-wise, because we talked a lot about the total. You know, when you start talking about teams I'm looking to bet on in college football early, talking about teams with a good defense, especially up front, which the University of Miami has in terms of their defensive line, returning a lot of guys that get after it. DJ Big Boss brought up the fact that they are returning 3 linebackers, all with next-level talent. And when you add to that a quarterback that can make plays with his feet like Jaron Williams can. Granted, he hasn't proved it at the college football level, but this is a guy in high school, highly recruited, Super 11 quarterback. He scored all but 3 touchdowns for his high school team, and we're talking about the state of Georgia high school football. That's top-notch football there. So it's just not a guy that's taking over the quarterback position for Miami. It does make me look towards getting the plus points with that profile. But yet it is on the Florida side, Felipe Franks returning in the same system under Dan Mullen, who can really push offense. He's proved it at Mississippi State multiple times. I could see Felipe Franks playing at the next level as well behind their defense. It's kind of similar profiles of what I do look to bet on in terms of defense with a quarterback with next level potential. Therefore, I just think Florida has more players. So if you made me, as far as next level players, especially on the defensive side and in offensive skill positions. So if you made me bet a side, which I doubt I get there, I would take Florida -7. Ian, do you have any opinion just on the side if you had to bet it?
Yeah, I would absolutely lean to Florida. There's no question. I was hoping for a better number than 7. That's the reason I'm staying off it. But Miami, this is a proving ground for them. We've got to see if Jaron Williams can play against this Florida defense. We've got to see if the Miami offense can take a step forward in terms of their quarterback play. I think they've got to obviously be better in the passing game. We know they can run. They could run the football a little bit last year, but the passing game was just anemic, and that's going to have to take a step forward. And then you've got, I guess, the game inside the game a little bit, because you got actually, if you think back, Manny Diaz was the DC at Mississippi State under Dan Mullen many years ago.
Interesting tidbit.
It's a very interesting little dynamic there. You could also say, okay, he knows him, but he knows him. They both know each other. So who's really got the edge, in terms of, I know what he's going to do. I often lean to the defensive guy having the edge, to be honest, in the matchup like that. And he knows Mullen's offense probably more than an opposing head coach in this kind of spot normally would. So maybe that's going to help Miami's defense a little bit, something to consider. One last thing, too, about the total before we move on is, when I bet at 50.5, that's why I'm really concerned about the loss of value in this number. I didn't even get it at the best number. 50.5 wasn't the best number on this total if you're looking under. I saw there was a 53.5 or 54 even at one time at 5 dimes back in, I think, mid-July. So we're talking about, in terms of some of these books, an 8-point move downward. That's a huge move. So it's disappointing the value's gone. I like that under still. When I got it, it's really gone down to 45.5 though, unfortunately, but it's been a big move.
All right, guys, and we got Red Girl in the house, Eric Jones as well. Good morning to you. Shadow, welcome in. Dom Ricci in-house and in the chat box. Anthony, welcome in. Derek Tucker, yes, college football is here. Barry Block as well. Buck Nasty, Ty Clinton, guys, please hit the like button. It will help us out. We got 2 games tonight, guys. Is there anything else we wanted to throw out? Keeping in mind, best bets is at the end of the show. Anybody else want to throw anything out? Canes versus Gators.
I don't have much more on there. I'm kind of like you, my gut feeling, my college football fan history leans on the underdog in this one, and I like it. But, my capping and, looking at things from an even standpoint, I can't discredit Florida in the 7 points. So, yeah, I'm stuck in it like you. But I love that turnover chain. I love the leadership. I love the enthusiasm. I love this struggle that the university is doing on football level to try to bring the program back. I'm all for all of that. And if I was just drunk at the bar, I'd go ahead and give it a shot.
Yeah.
But nah, I really want to stay off of it. But the total makes a lot more sense. And judging from the line movement, that's where the action is on the total.
Yeah, that's a good point. That turnover chain's out. Diaz, his recruiting, he seems to have the program headed in the right trajectory, and that place gets rocking. Miami starts turning it over. Watch out. That +7 with the University of Miami might look pretty sweet, but at the same time, I'm with you. The handicap, just with Florida, it seems like they're a year ahead in terms of the transition, the new administration. I'm talking about the head coach, so it makes me lean towards Florida. Doubt I stay off of it sidewise, guys. We do have 2 games tonight. And we got a 10:30 Eastern kick here. The nightcap, Arizona, the Wildcats at the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. This one on CBS Sports Network. We're seeing -11 here, Arizona. 73.5 or 74 being the total. It opened at 70, so we've seen about a 4-point uptick. Talking about these two totals from the mid-40s to the mid-70s tells you a lot about how these two games are going to be played. A lot different gameplay, Arizona and Hawaii. Of course, when we start talking quarterbacks, guys with next level ability, in my opinion, both of them, Cole McDonald for Hawaii, Khalil Tate for Arizona, both mobile, both can throw the ball as well. This is an interesting handicap, guys. I'll just throw it around. Big Ragoo, you got anything you want to throw out there? Arizona versus Hawaii tonight in the nightcap?
Yeah, just the question marks behind Tate and his injuries, and the potency of both offenses. Normally, these games when they go to Hawaii, we call it a degenerate special, the get-out game. It's probably going to be a fun game to watch because the way the game sets up. The number I think is pretty high. It's like a 70, 71, 72-ish, I want to say. That's a long hill for me to climb, but I'm not a big fan of putting those big overs out there, but for me, this is going to probably be a pass on the betting side, but definitely a fun game to watch.
Absolutely, and you bring up the total. Yeah, it is 74 now as the high mark here. A lot of 73.5s out there in the marketplace. And Ian, Big Ragoo touched on it. When you just look at these two teams from a blimp's view, I would lean towards the over. Look to bet the over. However, when we start talking week 0 or week 1, college kids playing in their first game, I do think that favors the defense. The defense tends to be ahead of the offense early on in the sport of football overall, especially in college football. Therefore, I'm pumping the brakes, like Big Ragoo said, on this total. But what's your overall view here with the Wildcats and Warriors?
Yeah, this is another game where the totals moved, but this one in the other direction, going over the total. This was in the 70.5 range at one point. It's as high as 74 right now. And I think there's a lot of people thinking Khalil Tate's healthy. From Kevin Sumlin's quotes, from Khalil Tate's quotes that I've read this week, they all say he's healthy. He's going to have a lot more mobility. Of course, last year the ankle injury really hindered him. Just didn't have that running element, and he wasn't good enough pocket passer, standing in the pocket, firing accurately down the field enough to make up and compensate for that lack of ability to run with that injury that hampered him. So now the key is going to be he's going to have that running element back. Defenses are going to have to respect that, and hopefully it's going to get receivers open. More importantly, can he hit the wide receivers when they're open? Because there were times in fall camp, if you look at back in Arizona's fall camp the last month, he's missing guys that were wide open at times during the practice sessions, and that's a concern. Obviously defenses now are going to be aware that, hey, this guy, from all indications, is healthy. We're going to have to respect his ability to run with the football, and they're going to test his ability to throw it. They're going to stop him on the ground before they stop him through the air. They're going to dare Khalil Tate to say, hey, can you hit your receivers? Can you be more accurate with the football as a pocket passer? We're going to find that out tonight. Obviously, I'm not going to kid anyone into believing that Hawaii's defense was good last year. It was a rough defense last year, 100th in the country. 430 yards per game allowed, but they bring back a lot of returning experience. The question is, can they grow a year better with more experience, be better on that side of the ball? This is going to be a good test for them, especially if Khalil Tate's healthy and accurate throwing the football as well, in addition to his ability to run with it. However, on the flip side, I think there's going to be a ton of plays to be made for this Hawaii offense against Arizona tonight. You look at Arizona's pass defense last year. It was 120th in the country, passing yards per game allowed. On paper, coming into this season, that secondary is still a major, major question mark. They're going to be starting a couple, sophomores and freshmen in that safety, secondary, cornerbacks positions going into this game. And you've got a quarterback in Cole McDonald who was excellent last year. He's playing behind a very experienced offensive line who have a tremendous receiving core. Like, they're going to be able to move the ball, Hawaii, but they're going to do it, I think, more through the air, because I think that pass offense is going to be their strength when you think of some of the receivers they've got. And that run-and-shoot offense under Rolovich, Cedric Bird, JoJo Ward are going to be the two guys you want to keep an eye on. I think they're dynamic receivers for Hawaii, and I have concerns if Arizona's suspect secondary is going to be able to stop them here in this game. You got to like where Hawaii is, too, in terms of this is year 4 for Rolovich as the head coach. You also like to look back on certain things, for me anyway. How do these coaches do first game of the season? Do they have their team ready to go? Are they well prepared? Do they play well? Well, you look back on Rolovich's first game of the season, last 3 years at Hawaii, 3-0 against the spread. Cover the number. You know, that tremendous game against Colorado State in the opener last year. They went to Amherst, Massachusetts 2 years ago in their season opener. Brutal travel all the way out to play the UMass Minutemen. They won that football game and also covered the number. So you talk about a guy that's had his team prepared mentally, prepared on the field to play well. Nick Rolovich has been able to do that. I'm grabbing the 11 here with Hawaii in this game. They've given you a proven track record of being pretty competitive and ready to play at a pretty good level in their very first game. And Arizona's defense, to me, last year was not good. And they're going to have to show it to me they've improved before I'm ready to lay 11 points with them on the road. And Khalil Tate's going to have to show he can improve as a pocket passer. I'd lean over the total, but it's gone way high at 74. Maybe I'll look in-game, maybe at an over in this game. But I do like Hawaii plus 11, and I'll be talking about this come best bet time.
Liking the big dog, Ian Cameron. Great breakdown, man. Rolovich 3-0 in week 1. I do remember both of those games the last 2 years. And I remember you personally were on the Hawaii Warriors in Amherst.
Both opening weeks of the last 2 years, the UMass game 2 years ago, the Colorado State game, we were at the IFBC watching that last year in Las Vegas. I was on Hawaii both games, week 0 or week 1, anyway, the first game of the season, bottom line, and I was on Hawaii both times. See if we can make it a trifecta here, go 3 in a row back in Hawaii in their first game.
Third time is a charm. Keep it going. We got Ron Walsick in the chat box saying Hawaii, Arizona, longest TD over 61 yards. Looks good. So throwing out a prop there on tonight's game. Keep in mind, guys, these are two singled out games. Going to be a lot of tickets written on them. We could see a lot of movement in this total and side up to game time. And Ron throwing out there a good prop bet. Hawaii, Arizona, longest TD over 61 yards. Defense being a question mark for both teams. DJ Big Boss, let's get you in here on the nightcap, man. How you looking to bet it?
Hey, first thing I want to say is, Ian, I love you, man. Damn, man, I can't believe.
Does that mean you like Hawaii? Is that what you're saying?
I can't believe Big Ragoo and Drew fell off on this one. This is the game right here that I lost sleep about. You know, this is the game that it looks like magic, man. This is magic right here. I couldn't understand the line for the longest. I don't know how. I understand Khalil Tate was once a Heisman Trophy candidate, you know, but what does that have to do with 2019? It'd be one thing if he was coming off that and this was the next year, but he had a dead year in between. That just makes no sense. And they coming off like he's going to have an incredible night this time right here. But when you look at this game, you got to look at the flaws. You can't look at what they're giving you out there. If you look at the flaws on Arizona right here, you got Khalil Tate coming off an injury. They already had a shaky line. They don't have a defensive line. They got a couple corners and safeties. You know, they had one guy they moved back to safety, and they got a decent secondary, which maybe I see the line setters looking at it as, you know, they may be able to handle the run and shoot of Hawaii right here. But this one also breaks down in a special category that me and Big Ragoo talk about a lot on our show, which is fourth-year coaches.
Okay.
So fourth-year coaches, you know, Drew, that's their recruits. You know, this is their plan coming all the way full force together right here. And this guy comes in his 4th year right here in Hawaii. He's a Hawaii alumni. The people in Hawaii love this guy. They're excited on the island. They get a home game on the island right here. And this guy is bringing back 9 on defense, 9 on offense, you know, and he has Cole McDonald. Cole McDonald could be Mountain West where I do it the best. He could be one of the best quarterbacks in the Mountain West right now. The numbers is what's going to take him over the top just because they're run and shoot offense, even though some of the other quarterbacks may be, better skill set and all that kind of stuff. But this guy is awesome. Last year, they pulled him in here last minute. He was in competition for the spot. Last year, he jumped in the driver's seat, and they went like 4-0 last year. And he got a little injury, he had to bounce back. But even with that being said, towards the end of the season, he came back in and he performed again. Now he's coming back. He's groomed up a lot better. They gave him the lead of the team a little bit early, so he's zoomed in. I really like the offense. Could score a lot of points. I really want to take Hawaii on the money line to tell you I just don't want to be that crazy because they're going to give you the 11. But I don't even understand where the 11 is coming from. This game is lopsided right here. Then you got over on Arizona side, this guy's in his second year right here. These not his recruits. He's battled this thing with the quarterback. And then let's go back into the quarterback situation with Khalil Tate. So they played him tender last year. You think they're not going to play him tender today? They done already put all the apples in the bucket, and they running him back out there. As soon as he's a running quarterback threat, so as soon as he gets a bad hit or something, hold up, let's not get him aggravated again. So this Hawaii squad is fired up.
No, great breakdown, DJ Big Boss. But I let me bring up the argument because I agree with you on Khalil Tate, holding them back. But this is the first game, so he's coming in healthy, and so you're getting the best of Khalil Tate, so to speak. What do you think about that angle, though?
That goes back to just what Babano told you. Football, first game out, is about preparation. It's about how hard you played in the spring, how hard you focus on everything. It's all preparation in game one right here. This guy is 3-0 in game one. He knows how to prepare. If he don't know nothing about down the line in the season, he absolutely knows about preparing for the first game. Opposed to Arizona, where we don't know what's going to go on. It's the second year here. We don't know how it's going to fire off. It sounds like they're trying to make it more than it really is. Because if you look at the X's and O's on paper, Hawaii stands way better than plus 11.
Man, I like it. You guys are bringing up some great points. I was going into this one thinking I'm just watching as a fan, but I don't know. I'm thinking Hawaii is the side here. Big Ragoo, I want to get your opinion, but first I want to throw out the reason that before this show anyway, I was thinking about not betting this game is because when you start talking about the Arizona Wildcats and just gambling on college football in general, the first game in college football I think is a huge gamble just because there's big volatility. A lot of times we see teams blow the other team out as the underdog, vice versa for the favorite. It's just a tough read on these college football teams early on, and especially the Arizona Wildcats, mainly because we got Khalil Tate in here. And remember, he's a next level athlete, not necessarily quarterback, but athlete. And remember the coaching change, and he kind of got on Twitter and was like, I don't want to play for this coach. And so when you start talking about, the quarterback not being fully bought in, I think that brings question marks. But Kevin Sumlin, the head coach, we remember him at Texas A&M, Johnny Manziel, they had that offense smoking. And I could see that kind of profile happening again here with Arizona, a mobile quarterback, next-level athlete, and just scoring a lot of points, going north of 40 points. I think that they have the possibility to average that throughout the season. So talking about the Arizona Wildcats, I wouldn't be surprised if they end this season 3-9, way out, Kevin Sumlin on the hot seat. Or 9-3, 10-2, that offense is going 40-plus points, and the defense does step up. I think the Arizona Wildcats are one of the biggest gambles in all of college football. It's tough for me to read them this year, but Big Ragoo, Ian Cameron and DJ Big Boss make great points towards the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. Are they making you rethink you're watching this from a fan and look to bet on Hawaii?
I'm probably gonna bet it just because there's only 2 games today, and I'm gonna I'm gonna celebrate the start of college football, but nothing major, just a little fun. Let's not forget too, Arizona. Over the years, they are a Pac-12 team, and the Pac-12 teams are notorious for high-powered offenses and giving up a lot of yardage and points on defense. But I think this Arizona defense has got a little bit different look, and they might have a little bit something to say how Hawaii is going to move the ball up and down the field. I think they ranked second in the conference as far as red zone looks at keeping points off the board. And I think they were ranked like 21st nationally in red zone defense, which kind of surprised me. And I think it's going to be more of a ball control offense for these guys versus airing it out with, like you say, with Tate. Trying to stay. I think he's going to be healthy. I think he's going to be fine there. So I look for him to do his thing on the field against the Hawaii defense. Like you say, Hawaii is not a defensive juggernaut. I think they were like 129 FBS. So I think if Arizona is going to be successful, it's going to be on the ground. It's going to be through the running game. And for them to step on the defensive side of the ball, maybe create some different looks to try to slow Hawaii down. So 11 points is a lot of points. It's 2 scores. It's early in the season. I mean, I'm going to give it a look. I'm going to give it a hard lean left towards Hawaii.
Yeah, I think you guys make great points here. And you brought up the money line. We're seeing it near plus 350. And for an 11-point underdog, that's actually a little bit less than it would normally be, I believe, in the conversion from minus 11 or plus 11 underdogs to plus 345 underdogs on the money line. And I think that's the market, the odds makers telling us, it is a little bit more volatile week one. We're not going to give the same plus price because they're on to your guys' thinking in terms of if Hawaii, can stay in this game and cover. You can make the argument that, out of all 4 of these quarterbacks tonight, and I'm talking Khalil Tate for Arizona, Jaron Williams for UM, Felipe Franks for Florida, and Cole McDonald for Hawaii, I'm actually interested in the panel's view. If you had to take one quarterback here, DJ Big Boss, which one would you choose out of the 4?
I'm riding with Cole McDonald. Cole McDonald throws well out the pocket. He's a runner as well, and he has. If you watch him, he has that intensity. I'm all sometimes I do bias myself with some stuff because I'm about players that want to win. Like especially if I'm putting money on the game, those players like Baker Mayfield and stuff like that play 4 quarters to the end, that they got a chip on their shoulder or something like that. I want to back those kind of players. So if I had to take somebody in this matchup right here, I definitely take Cole McDonald.
Wow, we got 3 Power 5 quarterbacks, 1 Group of 5 quarterback, talking the Hawaii, the Mountain West quarterback, choosing Cole McDonald. Not saying it's wrong. Ian, who would you choose out of the 4 quarterbacks?
Cole McDonald has an arm. E-I-E-I-O. With that arm, he throws some bombs. E-I-E-I-O. With a touchdown here and a touchdown there. Here a tutty, there a tutty. Yeah, Cole McDonald would probably be my pick right there. But I will say this, though. Cole McDonald right now, if I had to take one of these 4 quarterbacks, would be my choice. But I think Felipe Franks definitely took some major strides forward. Decision-making was better. Cut down on interceptions. Was more accurate with the ball. The deep ball was really improved from Felipe last year. If he's as good or better this year, may have to change that opinion, but McDonald can play, and he's fearless. He's also tough. He took a ton of hits last year in terms of sacks and got back up, kept on playing. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Cole McDonald going into this game tonight. It's a fascinating game. Someone's saying Tate's healthy. Tate's saying he's healthy. I think he'll be very dangerous for Hawaii in terms of containing him, running the football. But, again, there's been some very shaky, questionable, scary reports saying that he's still missing guys in the passing game in fall camp. We'll see if that translates to tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would maybe go with Felipe Franks just because of the coaching under Dan Mullen. But from top to bottom here, talking all 4 of these quarterbacks, I don't think there's a lot of a difference. I think you can make an argument for all 4. Big Ragoo, who would you take out of these 4 quarterbacks?
Definitely Felipe Franks.
Okay.
Just because of the tutelage under Mullins and the progression he's acquired the last few years. So I think that's a better look. Even though you got the big numbers with these other guys on the West Coast, I think he's the more solid quarterback overall.
Yeah, that is true. He's going against tougher defenses week in, week out anyway, on average. Guys, we got a pretty packed house here in studio. Shout out to all the low baggers. Jimmy the Vag, special shout out to him for making this all happen. We got the closing line, 10:30 a.m. today. Usually it's at 11 a.m. Eastern time throughout every Saturday throughout college football. Us 4 will be breaking down the card from a betting angle. And guys, do want to throw it out there if anybody wants to take over the seat and throw out their best bets out there. We got about trying to keep it to about a 50-minute show, but we will have seeing some head nodding and some people with some bets. So we'll throw it out there for about 5 minutes or so. But do want to get anybody's look ahead to the best season over/under win bets we've seen out there. if any guys want to get the watchers locked in on season over/under win bets and why. Ian, did any of them tickle your fancy?
Yeah, I'll throw one out there. I'm not sure if it's moved enough, but a lot yet. But I think it was 5.5, 6. Is East Carolina Pirates? I think they're going to be a lot better this year. Yeah, mighty. Yeah, I mean, I thought they were horribly undercoached with Scotty Montgomery. I thought he was absolutely terrible in terms of coaching this East Carolina squad. You saw them come on off with Holton Ahlers as the quarterback last year, and he's obviously the starter this year as well. Defensively, they were wretched. There's no sugarcoating it. Couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop the pass, getting shredded on a week-in, week-out basis. I think a lot of that goes to Montgomery. He didn't really coach that side of the ball very well, didn't pay any attention to it, it seemed there. Now they got a guy that had a great track record coaching at FCS, James Madison, coming in now as the new head coach. He's a guy that coming from a winning culture, can instill that now with this East Carolina team, and they've been so bad the last few years that I think there's going to be some residual value to look to them not only over their season win totals, but on a game-by-game basis. And I already like them plus the points against NC State in that Saturday game next Saturday, getting all those points. NC State loses Ryan Finley. NC State's got turnover on the O-line. NC State's going to have a revamped defense going into this season at being asked to lay 17 against an ECU team that I think is going to be much better prepared with a much better coach. The defense will take steps forward. I believe in the quarterback, Holton Ahlers, after what I saw from him last year. So I think East Carolina is one of those buy low teams you'll be able to make some money with this season.
All right, look to bet the ECU Pirates. You're right, Scotty Montgomery, great coordinator, could never really put it together as the head coach. So looking for them to bounce back in week 1, NC State. They're getting a new head coach too, so that might be a good look there in terms of grabbing the points with ECU. DJ Big Boss, did any season win total bets stick out to you?
Oh, man, we've been through so many conferences, me and Big Ragoo. I can't even pull them up off the top of my head, but they're out there in the world if y'all want to go check them out. But one that really would stick out to me, I'll go to the Mountain West for that one, is I expect a lot less out of Fresno State this year. The quarterback situation over there is going to be hurtful for them. I think they kind of slid by last year. I'm not questioning their I'm not questioning their skills or ability, but they slid by in some good spots. They beat Boise in that championship game, in the Ice Bowl. They slid by on that one. They're not going to get those type of opportunities to slide by this year, and I expect more losses out of Fresno State.
That makes sense. The sell high on Fresno State, can be a difficult place to recruit towards. After the Pac-12 out there, I've heard some difficult recruiting stories.
One
ahead.
thing about Fresno too, they've been an absolute point spread juggernaut the last couple seasons under Jeff Tedford. Unbelievable point spread record. It's been so good though. You have to think what goes up must come back down a little bit, and you would think in theory this is the year for it. Defense, as you mentioned, DJ Big Boss, defense with a lot of new faces on it. McMary, and now the quarterback no longer there.
He graduated?
They're moving on. And so it's definitely a Fresno team that should take a step back. And you talk about Hawaii, the team we're talking about tonight. The door's open for them. If their defense can improve and they can keep piling up points, Fresno's taking a step back. I think San Diego State's still good, but they've got question marks. I think Boise's taken a step back with a defense that's lost some guys, with a new quarterback, with Brett Rippon now graduated. So there's an opening for Hawaii to maybe be a dark horse sleeper and contender in the Mountain West.
Man, that'd be crazy to see them win the Mountain West. That'd be awesome, though. Good for Hawaii football. And Big Ragoo, what about you, man? Anything you want to throw out to either?
Yeah, I'm going to throw a couple looks out there now. As far as getting to those numbers, either over or under, just on theory alone, Nebraska, last year they were a 4-8 team, I believe, and now they got a projected over and under 8.5. And that to me is too much of a progression in one season. That's a big leap. I mean, as tough as that, how much parity is in that conference, I can't see them making up those number of games. And then it is shaded way to the under. I mean, now I look at the total, the dollars and cents on it, it's like minus 194, 2-1. So I'm imagining if you shopped around, you can find something a little bit different, maybe 8 somewhere else with a little less money you have to lay out there. And then the other one I want to look at is in the Big 12. And I know a lot of people, last year I was real big on Texas. A lot of times I used them on my plays. And a lot of the experts are leaning towards an under on this. It's shaded to minus 120, 9.5 as a win total there. I still think they're going to have a solid season. Whether they get to 9.5 or 10 wins, 10 wins, that remains to be seen. So you might want to look at Texas under the total on that one.
I love your Nebraska pick there, Big Ragoo, because it seems like mainstream, anything I've heard out there, everybody's loving Nebraska in the Big Ten, and I agree with you there. I think they're kind of overblown. Adrian Martinez, a nice player, but behind him, we saw their quarterback depth, not much, and Scott Frost, everybody wants to go back to, UCF, him turning it around. I don't know. I feel like the program itself was turning around, and Scott Frost did direct it very nicely, but still people will talk about 0-12 to 12-0 in just a 2-year span. That was probably the best 0-12 team of my lifetime in college football. He kind of, so it was an artificially low floor for them, and he kind of rode that wave. But overall, I agree with you on that 8.5 under in Nebraska. Do want to look ahead to any week 1 bets you guys want to throw out there, keeping in mind that next Saturday we will be live 11 a.m. Eastern time, breaking down the full week 1 card for under 1 hour on the SBR YouTube channel. So come back and join us next Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. But Ian, is there any week 1 bets you wanted to lock into the watchers right now where you think the number might move?
There's some interesting ones. I mean, you look at a lot of these teams in the Big Ten, for instance, and you think Michigan State and Michigan are 2 of these teams. Like, you think of these teams as just dull, plodding, slow-paced, run-heavy offenses the last several years under D'Antonio and Harbaugh. Michigan State's hosting Tulsa. It's a 23-point home favorites. The total's what interests me there. It's 47.5. We know Tulsa plays fast. We know that. We know their defense actually was a lot better last year, the Golden Hurricane. But now you got to go on the road, face Michigan State. And Michigan State's going to play a little quicker this year. New coordinator. They want to be a little bit more explosive. Brian Lewerke back. Solid offensive line. The concern about the one concern is probably, can Tulsa score enough on this Michigan State defense, which is going to be really, really good. It is a strong, Sparty defense this season, but you're going to have Michigan State uptick in pace, uptick in tempo. How much, we'll see, but there will be one. And Tulsa, we know, plays at a very fast clip. 47.5, very low given those conditions and parameters. So over the total interests me there. Big Ragoo mentioned Texas. They could be in a tricky spot, too, in that game against La Tech in their very first game. They're 20.5-point favorites. I'm reading reports that they've got injuries at running back. They've got injuries on the offensive line. Their veteran starting center is very questionable at best to play in this first game against Louisiana Tech. And I'll tell you right now, I've had good success the last year or two with Skip Holtz and his Louisiana Tech team in the underdog role. They have been very, very good catching points, especially as a road underdog. It's the role they're in there in that first game against Texas. Texas could win that game, but you're asking them now to win 3 touchdowns now with more and more things I'm reading where this could be a little bit of a banged-up football team going into the season. Some new faces on defense. The O-line's got, a couple guys hurt. And Sam Ellinger's great and all that, don't get me wrong, but this is now starting to look more and more like a vulnerable first spot here for Texas against Louisiana Tech. Bulldogs plus the points might be something to go with.
I like that look, Ian, because last year I went to the FAU Louisiana Tech game. I believe it was on a Thursday night. Always tough to get to college football games on a Saturday just because you miss so much. But that weekday game, and one thing I took away just from walking around and viewing the players is Louisiana Tech has some big boys and some big depth up front on the defensive line. So I don't think they're really going to get pushed around up front. Texas is going to have to beat them down the field, in my opinion. That's a great look, week 1.
The quarterback, Jamar Smith for Louisiana Tech, has to be better, though, throwing the football. He's very erratic at times last year, but hopefully with another year under his belt moving forward into this season, he can improve in that regard.
All right. And Big Ragoo, did you want to throw out any week 1 bets to lock in?
Yeah, I have one real interesting look, and you might have interest in this game here. Oregon at Auburn.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to get your reaction after I look at it. But just on a number standpoint, this game opened up at 6.5 and has dropped down to 3.5. Oregon on the road at Auburn. 3.5 drop week 1. Now DJ and I haven't really broke down the SEC yet, and we're looking at the Pac-10 coming up this week also. But just based on the numbers and the action coming on the game, the 3.5, that might be a solid look. Taking Auburn at home, laying less than the touchdown, even though it was 6.5 and it's down to 3.5. I don't know. Can you help me with that one? Because I wanted to get your opinion on that.
I agree with you. I do think Auburn's the side here. Now, full disclosure, I did go to Auburn, so kind of a War Eagle type of guy. But, the change at quarterback position for Auburn and Jared Stidham going on to the NFL, I actually think it's actually good for both parties, meaning I think it actually might help Auburn's offense just because when you don't have a running threat at the quarterback position in Gus Malzahn's offense, I think it really holds that offense back. So I think that they have the ability to actually be more explosive on offense. And when you think about when Auburn has really pushed the pace offensively, really been a top offense, it was Cam Newton, back in 2010 winning the national championship. And, of course, you're not going to get an athlete like Cam Newton every year. We see that. But then we saw again in 2013, Auburn had Nick Marshall at the quarterback position. And of course, he wasn't an NFL quarterback by any means, but he played for the Jacksonville Jaguars for 5-6 years in the NFL, making an NFL roster, playing special teams, defensive back, just to tell you what kind of athlete he was. So when you can get guys that can run around at the quarterback position in Gus Malzahn's offense, I think that they can be really explosive and score some points. He just named Bo Nix the starter, but it looks like both quarterbacks will get reps, Joey Gatewood and Bo Nix. Both of them do have running threat ability. So it's a great game to watch for me. Talking about betting on Auburn, my lifetime betting percentage with Auburn is well below 50%. So I've kind of pumped the brakes on betting them, Big Ragoo. But I do think Auburn's the side, mainly because defensively up front, they got some big boys. You can make the argument that Auburn has the best defensive line in the country. They'll have multiple NFL draft picks this upcoming year. And I think that they push around that Oregon front, which is a good offensive line as well with one of the better quarterbacks in the country. But I just think defense early on in college football is the way to bet. So I lean with you on Auburn.
Thanks.
All right, guys, good stuff there. And as far as a season win total bet that I like the New Mexico Lobos under 4.5. Bob Davie, I think he's shown the door at the end of the year. This is a team that got outgained by 180 yards in conference, also outgained by 260 yards per game in an 0-6 run to end 2018. Their season win total is at 4.5. I know that's low for college football. 3-9, 4-8, those will cash your ticket, but 5-7 won't. I still don't think they get to 5 wins, so I went on the under. I bet it personally. New Mexico Lobos under 4.5 at Bet Online. Do have to pay a little juice, minus 140 now. It has bumped up. But guys, we got best bets locked in a bunch. Before we get to the pick chair here with everybody in the audience, is there anything else anybody wanted to throw out there?
Well, I got something to say. I can't believe Big Ragoo is being such a bully today. He went after Auburn with you, and he talked about Nebraska. When we did Nebraska, we got negative comments out of everywhere. He doesn't like Nebraska. I don't like Oklahoma. People threw us under the bus for that. And he come here today and just lay it on y'all. But I got another look too, man. From capping this Toledo team, you can expect big things from Toledo. They open up against Kentucky. They're plus 11 points right there. This Kentucky team last year was a Cinderella. They don't got nothing. This has got to be like recency bias at its best right here. They don't got much coming back. SEC. They usually a low tier SEC team anyway. So I don't feel that they're gonna cover that 11 points at all. This Toledo team got a lot to improve. The MAC is on the rise over there, and I like it right there. I like Toledo on that one as another hot pick right there. But I haven't looked all the way deep into it, but I study both sides of it, and as it goes along the line, I watch the line movement, all that good stuff. But that's a good insight right there to go after Toledo in that Kentucky game.
Yeah, I like it. Week 1. Also, Toledo overall, tough place to play there in the Glass Bowl and fading the SEC team week 1. We got Hilly in the chat box saying Rutgers minus 14.5 versus UMass. UMass, one of the lowly programs in Division I, so it could be Rutgers on a bounce back. I believe they finished the Big Ten schedule 5-0 ATS, so that's usually a good sign coming into the following year. Granted, you're not going to see it in their wins and losses straight up, but.
Sure.
But yeah, staying in the game. Ian or Big Ragoo, anything else you guys wanted to throw out before we get to the pick chair?
No, let's turn it over to the audience.
I'll have one more. Just one quickly about that. I actually agree with that, Toledo. Benny Snell gone. Defense, a lot of guys gone. on that Kentucky defense. That could be a tricky spot for them. I'm going to throw out one more total for that first Saturday. The Battle of Kakalaki. We've got South Carolina, North Carolina. I like over the total in that game. You look at Bryant McClendon, the SC offensive coordinator for South Carolina. They went through a midseason tempo change last year. They finally got Will Muschamp to agree to it. He's one of those old dinosaurs stuck in mud, stuck in his ways, didn't want to change the style of offense. Finally said, okay, offense not working early in the season. We're going to go fast. We're going to push tempo. And they played well with that kind of offense. Down the stretch, Jake Bentley and that South Carolina offense played a whole lot better, so they're going to stick with what worked at the end of last year. They're going to play fast again. You look at North Carolina, all I'm reading is about we're going to try to get to this damn huddle as quick as possible, snap the football as quick as possible, because Mac Brown, the new head coach at North Carolina, brings in Phil Longo, Art Briles' disciple years ago at Baylor, air raid, up tempo, all that. So they're going to go fast. This North Carolina offense, they're leaning toward naming this young freshman that they're high on, Sam Howell, as their starting quarterback. They say he's looking great in camp. Now this is an SEC defense. Granted, I get that, but this is not a great South Carolina defense. At least not last year. It was. They gave up some big plays, and North Carolina, that kind of offense, with a quarterback with talent. He's a freshman, but it's in North Carolina. I think he's going to have the ability to be successful, at least to a certain degree. And I think South Carolina, on a bad North Carolina defense, should be able to score a ton of points in this game. Both teams will play fast. As long as the weather's not bad that day in Chapel Hill, we should get over the total 63. You think of teams that are expected to play as fast as these two teams, especially North Carolina, you're not supposed to get a total this low of 63. So I'm going to try to take advantage of that.
Yeah, seeing the number here, it's 7.5 or 8. That's South Carolina laying in this one 63, the total pretty much across the board. I like that looky. And Big Ragoo, it sounded like you might be a little washy on it.
Yeah, well, I know that South Carolina's defense is going to be much improved this year, so I think they get the job done. I'm not looking for a high score game as that, but I think South Carolina could definitely get the edge on the defensive side and the offensive side of the ball.
All right, guys, we got best bets coming up, but do want to throw it out to the audience here. A bunch of low baggers here in studio at the Diplomat down here in South Florida. Anybody want to step up? First up to the chair. All right, let's go. Let's have it. Jimmy, you gonna step up and college football bet?
I'm just gonna cheer everybody on, man.
We're all going as a group to Gulfstream here, and last night we were at the Marlins game. But yeah, we'll throw it over to the pick chair. Go ahead, introduce yourself. And
Sergio.
All right, Sergio in the house.
Sergio, good to see you.
Oh, welcome.
Welcome back.
Ian, it's a thrill to be in with you. I'm not on the, as the guys know, I was here Wednesday, so I'm not on the chat, but I follow you religiously, and I'm a big under better. And I know in baseball you won't bet an under if they gave it to you.
Yeah, and I never win an under. That's a big part of the reason why.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you, sir.
I know there's a lot of guys that want to get up here. I got two plays. I'm going to deviate from baseball. I got a Thursday night play, first of all. The battle
We need
with
Sergio's
Provo,
name.
Provo, Utah.
Oh, good one.
Okay.
I didn't stay
Good game.
live, well, it's the beginning of the year. Everybody talks about this. A lot of value, and Ian's big on value betting underdogs. But there's a favorite laying 5 points right now that's flying under the radar, and that's Utah. Utah's going to play BYU. The line right now is -5. I think there's some 5.5s. I think people talk about Ian and Drew were talking about the Auburn defense. Next to Auburn, the second best front seven in college football, and you heard it here from Sergio, is Utah. They got 4 returning starters on the D-line, 27.5 sacks from last year. I think this game against BYU could get ugly. BYU still with quarterback issues. And if Utah plays their game, their offense is always suspect. I think that defense is going to overwhelm BYU. And if they get anything offensively this year, they can compete with Washington in the Pac-12. I think Thursday night, 10 o'clock, the battle in Provo, I think Utah steamrolls BYU. And it's a low number. And for tonight, I'm an under better. I'm with Ian. I think I love Florida under, but it's also a lot of value. But I'm going to go to the degenerate special. I was telling Jimmy, they can't set a total high enough for me. I think that game is 35-10, 35-17. 25-17 at the half. This game has signs of 51-50 to me. I think Khalil Tate, with all his issues with Sumlin, people forget he was third in the Heisman 2 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And I saw this Hawaii quarterback before he went down last year, and their weapons offensively. There is too much talent, and there is no defense. Bet the over and go to sleep early.
Wow.
The degenerate.
I like the
special
confidence.
liking the
Yeah,
over.
I love it.
Good stuff,
job.
Sergio. And some guys in the chat box saying that the mic might be off. I don't know if we can get that fixed and possibly get some other picks for the pick chair. Freddie, should we throw out some more picks for the pick chair?
Yeah, I mean, the mic is okay. You have to put it in front of the mic.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to nut flush Allen? Oh, man, it's been a long week. All right. No, Sergio, this is a tough follow. Anybody else want to throw out a pick for college football or anything on today's card?
Come on,
Speak
guys.
now or forever hold your peace. Yeah.
I got a comment on Sergio's pick right there. I was just listening to that this morning about Utah. That's a good look to smash them at the 5. It's probably be a blowout game right there. But I'm not high on Utah in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 works kind of like a way, when you talk about class and legacy and stuff like that, it irritates the market over there because a team like team like Utah going to see SC could be in their worst year, and just because, SC holds that legacy, this Utah team can play down on any day. But the reason that they're on it high is because they got a really soft schedule, and they play some really soft games at the beginning, which is going to hurt them in the long run because other Pac-12 teams are going to be playing tough schedules, and they're going to play tough. Mm-hmm. So they got a nice L maybe coming with USC because they're undetermined, and they also got an L coming with Washington as well. But, they may be able to get over Washington because they're sometimey, but the coaching over there is awesome, and it's at Washington. So that could be another loss right there. I don't see – they said on the ESPN this morning, they said that they're looking at Utah to win the Pac-12.
I think that as well. I mean, in the Pac-12 South, I know you know a lot about the Pac-12, DJ Big Boss, but Sergio brought up the fact you can make the argument Utah has the best defensive line. They're well coached. Whittingham, how long has he been there? Great special teams, great home field advantage there in Salt Lake City. I think there's a lot of arguments to be made for Utah being a good pick to win the Pac-12, a dark horse to make the playoff, and you know what can happen there. So I think Utah's a very bet-on situation, and I like Sergio's pick week 1.
I like the pick. No, I absolutely like the pick. I'm just saying, in the long term, week 8, 9, and 10, be suspect of Utah taking some losses they shouldn't have.
There's a lot of public sentiment and people I've talked to, other bettors, other handicappers, that think BYU is going to be flying under the radar and be a lot better. Maybe that helps to explain why the money's come in on BYU initially. And there's a lot of people looking at the revenge. I hate revenge spots in week 1 of a new season. It's new players, it's new faces. But I know a lot of people are saying, oh, big revenge spot, because BYU had Utah dead to rights in the Holy War meeting last year, and Utah came back late and stole that game essentially against BYU. So a lot of people thinking BYU is going to want to avenge that. But for me, for Utah, defense is going to be great. Special teams is always good under Whittingham. Tyler Huntley back, healthy at the quarterback spot. Just don't do anything to lose these games. Let everything else take care of itself. And obviously, having him back, Jason Shelley did an okay job when Huntley was hurt. But Huntley being back, obviously their top option at quarterback, obviously should help their offense.
Yeah, and also that Utah line has dropped 2 points from BYU.
Yeah, there's been some money coming in on BYU. I have heard an argument in terms of, I guess, the other side. BYU, especially early on, keep in mind a huge part of their roster is of the Mormon faith. Therefore, 2 years of their life is spent outwards. So their average age is 2 years higher than most other college football teams. What's that? But so it's just interesting tidbits on the other side. But yeah, I'm with you, Sergio. I like the Utah Utes. So guys, we got to start wrapping up the show here. We appreciate you joining us. We will be back Saturdays, 11 a.m. Eastern on the SBR YouTube channel. If you could hit the like button, that would help us out. Please comment what your best bets are, and we will get the panel's best bets right now, starting with Big Ragoo. Happy to be working with him each and every Saturday, man. Happy to have you by my side. What do you got for best bets for the watchers?
For today, we're going to go with the Florida Gators -7.
Florida Gators -7, locking it in for Big Ragoo. I will go with the late slate here. You guys made a heck of an argument in the Mountain West squad, the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, catching 11 points now. It looks to be the high number. I think you could make the argument Cole McDonald is the best quarterback on today's slate. Plus, defense has been improved. Rolovich, fourth year, like you said, getting recruits, and they are on the island. Arizona, I think there's question marks in terms of being able to throw the ball downfield and cover this 11-point spread. So overall, I don't think the caliber of athlete, talking about Pac-12 versus Mountain West, will be that big of a difference in this game tonight. So night slate, 10:30 p.m. kickoff. I like I like Hawaii +11, going to lock it in right now. Ian Cameron on Twitter @Babano. What do you got for best bets, bud?
Yeah, I mean, it's become the Ian Cameron Bobano special. The first week of the season, Hawaii's playing, first game of their season, and we back Hawaii. We've done it twice successfully in a row. We'll see if we can make it 3 in a row, and as Drew said earlier, hope third time's the charm. Like I said, Rolovich, 3-0 ATS, first game of the season, last 3 years at Hawaii. He's had the team ready to go. I think we've got a strength versus weakness matchup clearly with Hawaii's passing game. McDonald, those two great receivers against a suspect, weak Arizona secondary, a terrible pass defense they were last year. I think Hawaii exploits that. And if Hawaii gets down 17, 20 points at one point in this game, we don't panic because we know they've got the offense and that explosiveness to come back through the back door if we need it. We may not even need it, but I'll take all the points I can get with Hawaii. Mahalo. We're going to go with Hawaii +11 tonight against Arizona. Best bet. Good stuff. And we got DJ Big Boss finishing off. What do you got for best bets, buddy?
I really like Hawaii +11, but I'm going to be a little risky today. I'm going to take Hawaii for their first win against Arizona and take it on the money line.
Wow. I love nice. Money line.
Big balls, Big Boss.
We'll get it locked in here on the SBR odds. We got Hawaii. High watermark looks to be +345 here on the money line. So DJ Big Boss saying, heck with the points. I'm taking the money line. Hawaii at home to win it.
If you look at it, I mean, from a California's perspective, all those guys, that's an in-state game right there. All those guys play with each other. The ones that, usually the guys that go over to Arizona are like the high recruits, with the family backing them and all that kind of stuff. And the guys that end up in Hawaii are the guys that's in the struggle, had to do this, that, to get to where they at. And Hawaii's looking, that fourth year thing is serious. And Hawaii's looking at a good team right here that could be jailed. And then you got to think last year, a lot of them are Junco players last year. And this year, this is their final year. They got to go out with a bang, and it all starts in week 1. So, I mean, I really like. I would probably take the 11 too, but for the show, I like the money line. Go ahead, give me the money line.
DJ,
yeah.
I got a question for you. Where you buying breakfast tomorrow with all that money you're gonna make on that +340?
Being that I take off a little early tomorrow, you can meet me at the bagel shop downstairs. I'm out of here at 5 in the morning. So yeah.
And like Nutflesh Allen is saying, DJ Big Boss did pick the Marlins. We went to the game last night. He picked the Marlins on the money line.
Game last night. We went to the baseball game and the football game broke out last night.
Yeah.
I saw 7-0. I said, I got home late from work. I said,
more runs in the Marlins game.
on the Phillies.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Then I saw 7-7.
Unbelievable. More runs in the Marlin game last night than the Dolphin game on Thursday night. How about that?
Pretty good that last night.
Yeah.
Great stuff, guys. Shout out to everybody in the audience. Thanks for joining us, to all the low baggers. Special shout out to Jimmy the Bag, putting this all on. We wouldn't be here without you, man.
Jimmy.
Also, special shout out to Freddie, Larry, Seth. We got Cammie in the house as well, and Sophia, all behind production as well. So everybody in-house, and so thank you to everybody out there. For Big Ragoo, I am Drew Martin. We got Ian Cameron, DJ Big Boss. Thanks for joining us. We will be back 11 a.m. Eastern Time next Saturday, every Saturday throughout college football, so come join us. Best of luck with your bets. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yep.